Hi, I'm H.G. Watson with Daily Extra. Today, NDP MPP Cheri DiNovo announced that she's going to be tabling new legislation that would prohibit therapies aimed at changing the gender identity or sexual orientation of youth under age 18. She also announced that legislation that would delist these therapies from OHIP.
Bottom line, being lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, two-spirited, or queer is who one is. To tell a child that who they are is wrong, we consider abusive. What this bill will do will ban the practice of conversion or reparative therapy for any child 18 and under, and will delist it from OHIP for those over 18.
If you're not familiar with trans medical treatment, you can create a better body for trans people if they want it, the younger that gets started. And I was happy with this. I was told that if I could get treatment, I would end up being happy with myself and that I would end up being, a happy person in some ways. So therefore, I was told to see a specific therapist under OHIP to receive treatment. He was the only option available to me, and I had to go see him. When I went to go see him, none of my meetings with him ever felt therapeutic. For the beginning, there was no focus on my current issues. Instead, I was often asked personal and probing questions, often in front of groups and classes of 20 students or more. It became clear to me that the therapist didn't think that my trans identity was really real, that it was actually an issue associated with my social life, and that if that was fixed, then I would be fixed on my gender identity.
I wanted to ask you a bit more about the motivations for the bill. You specifically mentioned Leelah Alcorn in the press release for it.
Yep. Well, it's, also Ontario youth. I traveled around with the Gay Straight Alliance Committee, and we heard testimony from psychiatrists that shocked us. And this was across Ontario. Their practices consisted of trying to turn queer kids straight. That's what they did. Now, was it religiously motivated in part? Yes, it was, but they were psychiatrists and they were billing under OHIP, and they were supposedly providing care to the children. So that's a problem.
How has this been allowed to go so unchecked in Ontario, where there's actually practitioners, it's more than one, that are still offering these services?
I think the reality is most people don't realize OHIP covers this. It covers all all you have to do is put down a session. You don't know what's going on in that session. So this is really shining a light on a pretty dark place, and it's a place of what I would call child abuse. I mean, imagine children are being taken to therapists that parents trust who are doing this, and that certainly shouldn't happen at all, and we're also paying for it by OHIP, so that makes it horrible, and we're complicit in it. So we're complicit in paying for it, we should be complicit in fixing it.
How would you respond to parents that maybe would say something like they want to have, or patients that say they want to have different options for therapy or things like that?
If you're over 18, do what you will, but it won't be covered by OHIP. So there's all sorts of practices that are not covered by OHIP that are left up to individuals. This would be one of them, over 18. But under 18, you don't have a say. Under 18, you're probably being sent there by your parents, and that's not okay. So that's why we ban it under 18 in this bill, and we delist it right across the board.
You spoke a bit today about the lack of access to care. How different do you think it would have been for you if you'd actually been able to have different doctors that you could go to?
They would have been very different. I mean, it's like I said, my body has been changed forever by the lack of care that I kept. Had I received the treatment I asked for when I was 16, I would look much different today. I'd be much happier with myself. So, I mean, it's important to know when it's trans conversion therapy that time isn't just mental damage, it's also physical damage.